Hi everyone, I'm Kelli Hutt. I teach at DCG Meadows, which is our 8-9 building, way out at the end of Grimes, connected to the high school. You can never find us, so in case you need me, that's where I am. I have 8th grade U.S. history, and then I also spend some of my day with level 1, level 2 SPED students. So I have a really good mix of lots of different strategies that I use for a variety of classrooms. I also co-teach math, co-teach reading, behavior resource, math resource, and why not? So I use G Suite a lot because it just kind of keeps my sanity. So what I did, originally I put together this really cute little slideshow for you with Google Slides, and then yesterday at about 8:50 I went, oh, forget it, I like Google Sites better. So I scrapped the slides idea, put together the website for you. Bonus, it only takes like a couple hours to put together that whole website that I put together. So it proves that it's really easy going, I guess, in the long run. But make sure that you are in there for me, please, if you missed your bell ringer activity on the sticky note, because we got to do that. And it just takes you to kind of like just a basic resource place for you to play around. And so I'll go through some of them for you. Can everyone access to the website, or does it say blocked? Okay. So what I do then is I go back. This is always the fun thing. My kids let me know when it doesn't work. So I appreciate you guys doing the same. All right, back in the TIC folder for today. I get too organized sometimes, and it makes it harder. All right. It's the survey. The site, you're good. Okay. So this one I bet says, I'll just check both, and we'll be good. Yep, settings on the format says restricted to DC Grimes users, so that should be updated for you. And then let me go back and check out the site. Yep, if you refresh, if you're on if you're able to get into the site but not the survey. And I'll double check on this one. Okay, can everyone get into the website? Yep. All right, cool. Like I said, there's always something, so that's fun. All right, so those of you who got into the survey for me, thank you, I appreciate it. I'll give you a little bit of downtime with that, but I'll just give you some background of what I've been doing in my classroom. I moved into my current teaching position 3 years ago, I want to say, for the social studies element. Before I had band and choir and associate tied in with that. So when I switched to social studies, I wanted a way that I could get my information to the kids very easily. And so I did a lot with Google Classroom. And now this current school year, excuse me, we're doing a personalized PD for part of the year. And so my focus was on attempting a flipped classroom or a blended learning classroom. And that's where I got hooked in on the Google Sites. I watched some TED Talk videos, and the Google Sites seemed to be a good portion to try it out. All right, we're getting quite a few responses on this one, which is wonderful. And I'm just going to kind of skim through here and see where we're looking at. Looks like a lot of people are comfortable with Classroom, Drive, Docs, Slides. About half of you on Google Sites. Sweet. This looks good. Review games I see are popular. Quizzes, Quizlet, Kahoot. Good. And we're getting a lot of wants on Google Keep, Google Sites, and some of the other fun ones I play around with. Perfect. You guys are falling right into what I hope you would do. So that's always nice. All right, so back with the site here, and I got to see which one I'm on. That's my edit one. What I did is I just kind of split it into ones that were directly related to Google Suite, and then my others, kind of my current favorites on this one. So I will just touch base on a few of these of the Google Suite ones to start, and then we'll kick over to the other ones, and then I'll just let you have some playtime. Because that's, like the other presenter groups have said, really it's the easiest way to do it, so just to jump in and try it out. So let's start off with, let's touch base on Google Keep. So if you want to follow along with me, you can. It's just the drop-down menu on the G Suite, and then jump over to that. And Google Keep, I found I have used way more in my resource classroom with some of my friends, which is the term we use when we're referring to kids in special education. We just call them our friends. That way, it keeps you happy, it keeps you fun. And so what it is it's basically an area where you can go to, and it is a series of sticky notes. You can leave yourself notes, reminder notes. And I have it as an app that I just added to my 9 Square, this little one up here. I don't know if that's the technical term or not. I call it 9 Square. There's 9 of them, and there you go. Creative labeling like the War of 1812, right? Okay, so when you get in here, you have a few options. You can do like a checklist, you can do a reminder note, you can do a voice recording. I put this on my phone and share it with my husband when I want him to pick up certain things at the grocery store, because then he can just go through and check them off when he finds everything. It's a really kind of fun tool. But I've noticed some of my friends prefer to have like a checklist system of remembering rather than a planner. So this works really well for them. If you have to-do lists and you usually have Post-its covering your desk and you want to get rid of the paper version, you'd rather have it online, this is another good option. So just kind of something fun to play around with and try out if that is something that you like to do. So I could put a check on my finished website for TIC. That would be a good one to send out. Oh, and I did the point sheet reminder, so that's good, and cross that one off. Got a couple others to work on. Questions about Google Keep? It really is, I mean, it's pretty fun, just a nice little way to add it in. If you don't have it on your drive or whatever at this point, it's just one of those, you go to the marketplace and you search for it and you can add it on really easily. So, all right, how about Google Sites? Okay, so on this one here for you, I linked in the website that I use for my students when we're trying our flipped classroom idea. And then I also have it saved where I can show you a sample of updating a deal. So I just put this together. The kids can get into it really easily. The big focus they use in here is when we have our different units, they have a assignment to do before class, just a little 5 to 10 minute assignment, and that allows us to do more of the application, more of the hands-on learning in class. We get kind of some of the basic note-taking deal out of the way, and then they come back in and we do some more activities with it. So the one we're on currently is Unit 6. And based on student feedback, they wanted to see when everything was going to be due for pre-class, so I threw that in there. It made it really easy to do. I'll show you a sample of how to add in the text box. I have the vocab, and then I have links to when they have a pre-class deal that they need to do. So they would come here and see, okay, I have a pre-class for 6.1. They'd click on that, and then they have a notes packet that they go through. They read the article and take some notes or answer some questions based off that. So the thing I like about Google Sites is you can throw just about anything in here, either directly off your Google Drive, things that you've made, or you can pull in outside links. It works very nicely like that. So what I'm going to do to demo for you, on my website that I made for you guys today, I have one called Fave LPs, so my favorite lesson plans. I have nothing on that right now. Purposely left it blank because I wanted to show you how easy it is to throw stuff in here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, if you look at all my other ones, I have some sort of little text box basic explanation to start. So I'm going to throw that in on this one. And when you get in here, you have an insert, a pages, or a themes. And the themes one you use pretty much at the get-go when you're starting to put it together. The pages are when you add in things, so I will show you how to do that here in a minute. And then the insert is just anything you want to put on the current page you have open. So I'm going to throw in a text box here. Click. Works great. And I'll just put in a little message. Here are some of my favorite lesson plans. And I'll add using technology, because why not? All right, now I want that bigger, so I'm going to go up to where it says normal text. I'm going to put it in subheading. And I want to change the color so it stands out for you guys, and I like the green. So I'm going to go with that. Okay? So then what I need to do is I need to figure out what I want to add in. And I can put in a link, I can put in a picture, I can put in something direct off my drive, just about anything I want. So I'm going to go off my drive, and let's see here, I'm going to go to, I'm going to get in through my team drives. I love that Google has team drives now. Who uses team drives to collaborate? They're fantastic. I love it. There's 2 other teachers who teach the same class as me, so we just throw everything in there so we can share it. We have common assessments and things like that. It works fantastic. All right, so one of the ones that I love to use, I did this last unit, was we did a little obstacle course to learn about the Siege of Boston. And so I just found that one in there for you. I think I have it up on another one already, but it's my favorite, so I threw it in here. And all I did was find it in my drive. When I clicked on the side drive, clicked it over, and then I will have to make sure that it is shared to a point where everyone can access it. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to check my share. I'm going to wait here and give it a minute. Change the access. Link sharing's on, and I have it where anyone with this link can get it. Perfect. So that's what I want. Most of the time, I just leave it with anyone with the Dallas Center Grimes address because I just want my kids to access it, or it might just be sharing with a specific few people if I just want the teachers to be able to access it. So you can switch it around how you want. But that's up there. You guys would be able to see it. The only thing I have to do for it to be able to see for you is click this lovely little publish button up here. And then if you refresh, it should pop up for you. Okay, so now hopefully if you click the refresh button on the website that you're on, it'll pop up with the things that I just added. If I don't click that publish button, you won't see it. Okay, so that is nice. You can publish some things, go back, make some edits, hit publish again when you're ready, and you can change up what the students are seeing or whoever is accessing your site. All right, that's really, really brief on that one. And this is really just a sit and play deal. Do you want me to show you how to insert a page on this one? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to go to, I'm just clicking pages off to the side. And you can see I have quite a few pages made already. And these ones are the ones that show up in your menu bar when you add pages. So the home one will show up automatically. I added one that said G Suite, one that said Other, and then my fave LPs. And then within those, so in order to do that, here I'll just throw in, we'll just put random for now. How about that? So I click the little one at the bottom here, the page with the plus. Threw in my title. I'm going to click done. And then you'll see up on my screen, but you won't see on yours yet because I haven't hit publish. It'll pop up with now I have another page that I can access. Okay, and I just titled it random because that's my go-to when I need to. Now, if I want to add in some drop-downs, because like on my G Suite, you can go to the menu, hover over it, and it hops down to all the other pages you can go to. That is just a little trick. Off on the side, there's the 3 dots. Click on it, and you can click Add Subpage. All right? And this one, I'll just throw back to my first school I worked at. Okay, and we'll do a drop-down with KMS here. So if I go back into random, you'll see now there's an option to drop down. Again, you can't get to it yet because I haven't hit publish. But then what it does is it allows me to go back and forth to these different ones. Okay, so it's a really nice tool, pretty easy to throw together. Google Sites used to be a little bit more complicated. They made it way more user-friendly. I attempted the old version before and said no thank you. This one's way better. And the nice thing on some of these other ones where I have pictures, let me think where I did it. We'll go review tools. When you insert an image or a text box, it always covers the full length. But you can shorten them, you can move around, you can switch them up, you can resize them, you could shift 2 into the same one. You can make a whole bunch of different ones of how you want it, which works really well. All right. Okay. So I did promise you some play time on that one, so I will save time at that one for the end. But let's see here. I'm going to go back and check my survey and see the other interest ones here. All right. How about Flipgrid? That one's a fun one. Okay, so this is in the other drop-down. If you would go to the Flipgrid one, this is one that someone introduced at the end of last year in one of our professional developments, and I absolutely love it. It basically allows you to post a question, or you can post a video of yourself if you want to actually record yourself, asking a question to the students, or you can do it as a check-in. It makes it for a really easy exit slip, or a quick check to make sure that students are getting what they need to get. I like it because my kiddos, now that they're used to it, can just get it done in about 3 minutes. When we first attempted it, it took about 10 minutes because they had to get over the embarrassment of seeing themselves recorded. Oh, is that what my voice really sounds like? Oh, look, we can add emojis and stickers. I disabled that feature very quickly as soon as I figured out it was in there because that's where the 5 minutes of the 10 would get eaten up. But it works out pretty cool. And so what I did on here, I just put in a screenshot of what the teacher element of it looks like. Flipgrid is free up until a certain extent. So you can do a lot with it for the free version. And then, of course, there's upgrades if you want to pay for it. I use the free version only. And then I delete some of the tracks if need be, some of the grids if need be, but it works well. Really, the only downside of it is since I have 2 classes that are going to use this, I either have to make 2 separate ones, or I just have to be okay with them being able to see the responses from the other class. And we kind of just made it a rule of, when you're done, you can have about a minute to look at someone else's, but that's about it. Because sometimes my 5th period class is not as nice to my 1st period class once they get on and watch their videos. So you can let them leave comments, but I usually block that feature too. You just do it based on what your kids can handle. So on here, you can see I put in a sample Flipgrid. And then there's also one of the ones that I did recently with my students, a 6.8 response, which 6.8 would have been about strategies the British used during the American Revolution. So I can just ask a very kind of summary question, and my students can give me their feedback and then build on their ideas. When we did the obstacle course, I asked them to give me a reflection of how it went and how it linked to the British, the siege of Boston and things to that effect. And it was kind of interesting to see how they linked the activities, and it works really well because you can scroll through the videos very quickly and get a pretty good idea of what the students want to say on it. Now, just to have some fun, would you guys click on the practice one for me? Okay, and on it I have a question for you. If you clicked on the practice one at the bottom, it was the very last link on the Flipgrid one. It opens you up to this page where it says sample Flipgrid for today. And the question is, how do you already use technology in your classroom, and what new idea or tool do you plan to try next? So what I would like us to do is just take 2 minutes, and I want you to play the role of the student here. Okay? Now, when you have a smaller group, a lot of times I'll let my kids spread around the room. Some can go out in the hallway to record this. But it's always kind of fun to let you try it when you're all sitting right next to each other, and you can see how good of a focus you can actually get material from the kids when they're sitting right next to someone. You can still hear their response pretty clearly. So all you have to do for this one that your students would do is they would click on the plus. Okay, and then it's going to open up a recording box for you. And at this point, I normally get the kids going like this. So I see a shoulder. There's been one time I got to stare at the sign behind them for the majority of it. I don't really care. Some kids are totally fine with it, and some kids, they get embarrassed. I just want to hear what they have to say. Okay, so when you go in, you would hit record. You would say your piece, and then when you're done, there's things like you can take a screenshot. You can take an intro picture for your video when it'll pop up for the teacher. You put your name in. You can, if your teacher's nicer than I am, you can put in a sticky and emojis and things like that. All right, so I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes to play around with that, and then I might embarrass some people and pull it up and just show you how easy it is to see the responses. I won't play the full response, I promise. It'll just be so we can click through. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. You guys try it out. Oh, Katie, you got to do it. All right, I want to check out some of these videos. So this is what the teacher one version looks like. I just always log in with my school Google account. That way I don't have to remember anything. It works wonderful on that one. And this goes into, this is one of the features of the free version. You only get one grid. So any Flipgrid videos that I want to make are all going to go in the same one. So that's why our sample one still falls under my Hutt history deal for my students. And then when I get into this, if it's going to work for me here, it's thinking. You can see the ones I've done so far this year. I had a check-in about after the age of expiration. Let's see, 3.5, that was one of those mystery classroom activities, so I couldn't actually label it in case there were kids gone. But it involved some silly string. And the next one was about Salem witch trials, and we just kind of keep going through. This protesting discussion one I threw in there because there were some kids who, within the group setting, were quieter than I knew they would be if I gave them an avenue to talk later. So a lot of the students really liked that one to give me an extra one. Okay, so our sample one today, I have 6 responses in. That's cool. I know some people were having some difficulties getting theirs to work. And what I can do when I get ready to check these out is I just click on the first one. It'll start playing. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave it for very long. And then when I'm done listening to it, or if I've heard enough, if I'm doing some sort of grade check with it, I can just click over to the next one while that same video is already up. Or I can just let it play, and then it will automatically pull up the next one after I've heard the first one. Okay, so this first one, okay, they're talking, you're talking. Good, I've heard what I need to hear. Here's the second person. She's going. She's saying some fantastic stuff. On to the next one. Okay, so you can very quickly click through these. You can also make it a very abbreviated amount of time the students have to respond back. I think the shortest you can go is about 30 seconds, and then you can open it up for way longer if they need the time. Okay, but it's kind of cool. I like it when if I'm working at my desk, I can have those running. I just check and see who's talking. I can grade it while I'm multitasking, and it's nice. I don't have to open up a ton of different things. It's just all there for me. So that's Flipgrid. Really fun one. I would recommend going for the free version, even if you don't know you're going to use it right away or not. It could be just kind of a fun exit slip for you. And the best thing with it is you just put in a link or a code. The kids don't actually have to sign up for it unless you want them to. You could, but it's easier for them to just link out with the code or the actual link. All right, so I keep opening so many things. Yes?
It also links well to Google Classroom.
Yes.
And you have the option that they can, like right here, we can see all the videos right away, but you can also put on that students can't do them until you approve them. So if you want to do it like performative, and then you can also on the share page, you could share one later in like Google Classroom anonymously, so they don't know who posted it, but you wanted them all to do that.
There's a lot of fun things you can go in there and just play around with it. I mean, that's the biggest trial and error on this one. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the other deal on here, and I'm going to pull up the memes one. Memes are still a thing, right? They're still popular enough with the students. My kids haven't told me otherwise. A few years ago, I would get freak out moments as soon as they would say, oh, we get to make a meme, yay! And now it's a woohoo, a meme. So I'm guessing it's not as popular, but they're still having fun with it. So I use just about any sort of meme generator that the kids can get into. Last year we used one, I think it was just called Meme Generator. But this year we switched from MacBooks to Chromebooks, so the one that works with the kids, and the protection software that we have is this Image Chef. And I threw that link on there at the bottom for you. And what I did, I gave you a sample picture here. I asked my students to put together a little meme to show me their understanding of the importance of allies for the colonists in the American Revolution. And this was one of my favorites. So they just have when England realizes the colonies just got 3 more allies. So it works well. And with the memes, I always have them give me a couple explanation sentences. So usually I'll throw it all in a Google Doc. They'll paste their meme. They'll give me their 2 sentences. So I just confirm that what they meant by the meme is how I interpreted it. It's just kind of a fun little thing for the kids to do. I usually don't have missing assignments on this one. So it's just kind of a fun one to play around. The Image Chef on here, it goes in and it has some variety of pictures. There's some that aren't school appropriate, so I always throw that reminder out to my kiddos, make sure anything in the picture would be approved by our principal. But they're usually pretty good. They can also upload their own if they want to. They haven't figured that out yet, so I haven't gotten any crazy pictures of my student faces, but I'm sure it will at some point. But this one's a fun one. I use probably about 3 or 4 times a year. It gets me some pretty good feedback. Let's see, another one on here is Easily. And Easily is a program that allows for the creation of infographics. And this you can do a lot in Google Docs or even Google Drawing. And some kids prefer that method. You could do it on slideshows. There's all sorts of different things you could do to get this across. The reason why I included in this, and I have my students mess around with Easily a little bit, is because there's so many preloaded templates that would take the kids a really long time to put together. This one took me about 30 seconds to put together, and as you can see, it's not completed, but it would be what I would give my students as a sample. Here's what I want you to start your page with and benefit from there. So this would be in our Age of Exploration unit at the beginning of it when I want them to kind of compare contrast the three main groups that are going to interact during the Age of Exploration. So there's some Venn diagrams, there's timelines, there's spider webs, there's all sorts of different things that you can do within easily. And I just have the link up in the top section for you if you want to look in. There's a free version, of course. The saving aspect of it is difficult sometimes for kiddos, so usually I recommend to the kids that they either log in for their own account so that they can save it, or make it so that it's super short and they can get it done within a class period and we don't have to worry about a save. But the kids, after the initial trying to figure it out time, then they really liked it. So I usually give them a few short practice ones of assignments throughout the first couple of units, and then this is the first one where I want to see a completed, finished version. So it just takes them a little bit of time to practice. All right, and then let's see here. Social studies games. I just threw in my links that I use. I have the online Cetera I use for 50 States Review at the start of the year. Since we focus on American history, I want to make sure they're good on where all the states are and where the colonies are going to be. And there's a variety of map games and geography games linked with that one. iCivics. How many people use iCivics in their classroom? I love it. My kids are currently obsessed with the Race to the White House one. They're really frustrated the other day. I gave them time to play and it wasn't working. So it's back. It's working again. And then Mission US. Have you guys used these? Yep. Yeah? Love these. These are fantastic. We spend a lot of time with the first two, for Crown or Colony, with the Revolution units that I do, and then Flight to Freedom when we're talking about slavery and Civil War and things to that effect. And it's just really nice. They've added one or two more since I think I started using this, and there's a lot of good, interesting links that you can pull into your classroom. And plus, if you assign the kids to play a game, sometimes they focus in a little bit more, which is always nice. What's that? Yes, there's a lot of great teacher resources with it. You can get a lot out of this one. All right, I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'm going to back off, let you play a little bit. QR codes. They've been around for a while, but sometimes we forget about them. Sometimes we don't know how to use them. And I started using them to make note-taking a little bit more entertaining for my kids. When we did some basic comparison information about some of the different Native American tribes, I made it as a go find the QR code, get the information that way. And then with that fave lesson plan I put in with you guys, I turned this into a QR code deal for them as well. It's an obstacle course. They had 4 different stations, but they didn't know what to do until they got the QR code. So what I did for it is I just found a QR code creator that was going to let me do what I wanted to do, typed it in, and then off to the side it gives you what your QR code will be. So I screenshot that or download that, put it in my Google Doc, and then post those around for my kiddos. I always put in the thing with the kiddos, if you're not allowed to download things on your phone, don't. We usually have plenty of kids who have a QR code reader or can add it on really quickly. This one was kind of fun because they get to the Fort Ticonderoga station here, they'd snap the picture, and then they found out that they had to roll a dice, and there were certain things that happened based on your roll. Or, honestly, the one I liked the best was Bunker Hill. They'd get there, they'd snap their QR code, and I'd hear them go, human pyramid, how do I do a human pyramid? And I'd say, well, look at the picture, because you can add an image in on the directions. And so they figured out they had to build their hill, and then at the top they'd have to say, don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes, and then, and it would link out that way. And then when we were done with this activity, we went back through and connected and did all the explanations. And then we ended the class with a Flipgrid. So we did lots of different things with technology that day. And the kids had a lot of fun. They still ask if we can do another obstacle course sometime. So got to figure out how to make an obstacle course for the Constitution unit. Haven't really figured that out yet, but we'll try it out. So any questions for me before I just back away and give you some time to kind of play around with this? All right. Thank you, everyone.